So over the past couple of weeks or so, I've seen so many reports about how the Chinese economy is collapsing. They're in a crisis and, well, it's not looking good for them. Well, I want to address how that impacts us here in the United States, because what we know is that the United States, the U.S. officials, our government, Congress, every single person here in the United States is watching as China's economy struggles. So here's what I can tell you. Honestly, it's no secret at all that for us here in the United States, we are heavily dependent on China. We're heavily dependent on Chinese goods. For all of you that drive electric vehicles, the lithium-ion batteries that you use on a daily basis are mostly produced in China. For example, I believe China produces roughly 76% of all lithium-ion batteries, while the U.S. only produces about 8%. For people that wear clothes, which I'd assume it's 99.9% of us, China produces about 65% of the world's clothing. They're also the largest textile manufacturer in the entire world. It doesn't stop there. When it comes to just retail goods, electronics, anything that you make or anything that you get, chances are something from that or that entire product was manufactured in China. Again, it's a huge issue. But here's why China's economy is collapsing. And it's not just because they make so much stuff. That's not the reason why. It's because of multiple factors. China's economy is collapsing because millions of home buyers are simply not making their mortgage payments anymore. Many are struggling because they have been sold some piece of real estate that is just too expensive. China's struggling right now, not just because of the expensive real estate, but because many buyers were being told and almost lied to, saying that you need to buy something now because in a couple years, in 5 years, even in months, it's going to be much more expensive. Inflation's really going to take hold, and this has been going on for the past couple of years. Well, it put China's real estate market in a bubble. What we're seeing now is there's many homes that are second and third homes from many people in China. They buy it outside the city limits. They have this backup piece of real estate because they knew and they were told it didn't matter what you did with it, as long as you hold on to it, you can sell it for more later. Well, that's not necessarily the case, as homes and their prices are starting to drop. So that's one of the reasons why China's economy is collapsing. And then we're not even going to get into the Evergrande crisis. There's still a lot of stuff going on there, but again, that will be for a different video. The other thing is, banks are simply freezing accounts so that members can't take all of their money out. Because here's what we know, and we've seen this in the financial markets as well. When you're losing money and you're not sure if your money's safe, what do? Well, most people, or a lot of people, and again, this isn't financial advice, they take their money out. They take it out of banks, they take it out of stocks and investments, they take it, liquidate everything, and hold on to it. That's kind of what the Chinese economy is trying to do now. Problem is, banks don't want them taking their money out because this would make the entire economy really suffer. So, what are the Chinese people doing? Well, they're a little bit nervous. They're frustrated because they want to get their money out now. They don't want to rely on the bank to hold on to it because they don't even know if the banks are going to be around in a few years or potentially in a few months. The next thing, large developers have cut so many corners recently to build these massive developments. They are already selling these apartments, these houses, and what's happening is a buyer will come in and they'll pay a developer a set fee, and the developer will start building their house. The problem is what's going on now is these developers are taking so long to build these homes, the payments keep coming in, and what it's looking like is a real estate Ponzi scheme. Scary. Because if you are putting money into an investor's pocket or to the developer's pocket, and they're supposed to be building your home, but at the same time, they're going to build the person's home that was first on the list, then go down and down and down. If you're number 8,342, well, you're going to have to wait a little bit, yet you keep making these payments. So it's not a great situation to be in, but that's kind of what we're seeing. Another thing, China is currently, okay, and again, this is scary. China currently has about 225 million square meters of unfinished homes. Guess what? They need to finish these homes, get people into these homes, because they do have a shortage of homes. The problem is everybody's not living in their own home. That's not happening because, again, home prices are so expensive. But this is all happening in a time when right now, there's not enough housing. And many buyers are paying up to 25, 30 times their annual salary in order to secure these homes. And in some cases, they are paying more than 50% of their monthly income just on housing alone. And again, when we are experiencing inflation all across the world, it's not a good situation to be in. But here's why all this is such a big deal. If China's economy collapses, and again, China's economy has not collapsed just yet, but they are doing a very good job at delaying the inevitable. China's economy, according to multiple experts, is going to collapse eventually. It has to. It has to collapse because of it's pretty much just a house of cards right now, just waiting for one thing to be pulled and everything will just come tumbling down. Now we know it's going to collapse. We just don't know when or to what extent. Well, this is why the United States is keeping a very close eye on what China is doing. Because if China's economy does collapse, the United States and the rest of the world, we're honestly going to suffer. Well, we here in the United States, we rely so heavily on Chinese goods that it would devastate our supply chain. We're already seeing this. And I've talked about this multiple times in the past. I'm going to continue to talk about this, next week and the week after and in a month and 2 months and 6 months, or maybe even a year. But I'm going to continue to talk about how these Chinese goods that are coming in from China are taking so long to get to the stores. They're being held up at the ports. They're being held up at shipping distribution centers. They're being stuck in traffic or just on the side of the road because truckers are taking a little bit longer than they normally would, right? Or they have excess inventory. They have so many other problems. Again, we're seeing a massive supply disruption. Well, if China does collapse, their economy does collapse, what we could see massive layoffs. We would see inflation go back up, which sucks because we went from 9.1% inflation down to 8.5. Well, that was just the other day. What's terrible now is we could see it go back up because if China's economy collapses, that means we have to produce more products here in the United States. We also have to, spend more on not just manufacturing and production, but chances are wages are going to go up. And as wages go up, spending is going to go up as well. So it's not a great situation to be in, but that's currently where we're at. But I wanted to fill you in on this because honestly, we're getting a lot more reports that China's economy is struggling. It hasn't collapsed yet, but it's struggling. It's on the verge. And if it does collapse, which some say this could happen within the next month, if China's economy collapses within the next month, what I can tell you is we're going to have a very rough fall and a crucial winter here in the United States. So, as we get more information on what's happening with China, as we get more information on what's going on here in the United States, I promise I'll fill you in on all the latest news and updates. Again, just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.